morning.
Well, surprisingly, witchcraft bill yet to receive assent.
The speaker was not happy yesterday at all.
I am not happy either.
He was very upset with
this
Parliament.
Is a very important.
He also felt the executive.
For us.
He said that the president was delaying the bill. He thought Parliament didn't do a good job with it. We have a very campaigning speaker who he was angry yesterday.
Yeah, but I mean,
freed his mind. So that's the front page.
Local miners need more incentives. Sam Jonah. Sam Jonah is on the front page of the paper. Lawyer reports fellow over unprofessional conduct. Page 16. Chukam. Okay. And Greek festival opens ahead of Farmers' Day. Page 30. I'll give you details.
The Ghanaian Times says minority kicks against 5.5 billion cedi tax waiver for 45 companies. 24-hour economy policy is to create jobs for Ghanaians. Ex-President Mahama speaks. Kojo Nkrumah says maintain positive outlook ahead of festivities, and Ghana will be self-sufficient in food production in next 5 years. That's according to the Minister of Agric.
The front page of the Daily Guide newspaper: Ghana card for car purchase soon. Baumia.
Somebody pulled about Baumia story in 2017 or something about Ghana card and inflation or something. So
again on Parliament, different leg to the witchcraft story. Parliament did poor job on witchcraft bill according to the majority, and then 2023 Farmers Week celebration underway.
All right, the Finder also has the Agric Minister's 5-year plan here on the front page. They also have Access Bank, and it's recording a strong financial growth in Q3 of this year. Court quashes OSP's report implicating Colonel Damoa Eduche in La Bianca case. And Dr. Violet Makuku is saying Ghana's education among the best in Africa.
The front page of the Anchor newspaper also says, choose Napo as running mate. Mustafa Hamid. Lands Ministry launches e-jobs for all today. Program targets 10,000 youths in mining regions. And also the GRA, alarm blows over secret recruitment.
All right.
Angry staff petition management.
Okay, the Chronicle says Saglemi housing project wrangles. Collins Dowda ordered to surrender passport. The vice president is here, and he's saying free SHS has improved student performance. And the NDC's comms bureau is lauding Mahama's 24-hour economy policy.
Well, the front page of the Business Analyst recaps a couple of stories you've already seen. Loans to private sector decrease. Bank of Ghana reveals on inflationary pressures. Inflationary pressures continue to ease, but BOG keeps policy rates same.
All right, the Economy Times says ISA raises concern on high food import reliance amidst suspension of new food import restrictive LI. And then you have the Federation of Labour supporting the 24/7 economy proposal. And of course, MTN announcing hikes or price hikes in terms of their products and services.
All right, let's go online. CitiNewsroom.com. Very interesting headline. Food prices drop, but consumers still overpaying due to middlemen. Our Greek minister says this. Meanwhile, Third World Network is asking government to tread cautiously with import restrictions bill. Hundreds displaced in Dowenya over spillage of irrigation dam. And then we won't allow this decision to stand. OSP rejects ruling on Colonel Damoa. Meanwhile, Bagbin rebukes Akufo-Addo over silence on the Criminal Offences Amendment Bill. And gold for oil policy not responsible for manganese-laden fuel. This is Bost speaking. All those on CitiNewsroom.com. My Joy Online headline stories include Katie Hammond. He says, minority has stabbed me in the back on pre-lane of LI to restrict imports. He also says, we are not banning strategic imports. It's only a restriction, he says. And then La Bianca case, special prosecutor rejects the court verdict. And then Speaker Bagbin is quoted here. He earns chieftaincy title for his stance against LGBTQI. If you go to Star FM, they are talking about shit bombing forces students to study under trees in Koforidua. Can you imagine? Early morning. Terrible. Government faces over 140 million compensation debt for road construction impacts. And then Savannah MP slam Baumia over abandoned Damongo water project. And Akufo-Addo fails to assent to witchcraft bill. Minority accuse him of constitutional breach. Meanwhile, Clementa Park says location of STEM schools is politically motivated. Now, a few global headlines. Biggest climate talks ever confront global chaos and record heat. This is Bloomberg News' headline for the morning in relation to COP28. Also on the BBC, 11 miners die in South African accident. And then Niger coup leaders repeal law against migrant smuggling. All kinds of things. And then there was a mutiny in Sierra Leone, but the president has declared calm. And then Cardinal Texan says it's time to understand homosexuality. So that's a headline that's trending, not just in Ghana, but also on the BBC. And then Reuters is telling us that more Israeli hostages expected to be freed after the Gaza truce extended. So that's another thing to keep an eye on this morning. Where do you want to start, gentlemen?
I'll start with Parliament and what's happening. There are two different legs to this witchcraft bill story. Page 13 of the Daily Graphic says 5 months after Parliament had passed the Criminal Offences Amendment Bill 2022, which makes it an offence to accuse any person of being a witch, the President, Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, is yet to assent to it to become law. So technically, there is no such law which makes it an offence to refer to someone as a witch. The minority championed by the MP for Tamale South, Haruna Idrisu, maintained that the failure of the president to assent to the bill constituted a constitutional breach which should not be countenanced. Article 106, 7, 8, 9, 10 states, quote, where a bill passed by Parliament is presented to the president for assent, he shall signify within 7 days after he refuses to assent to the bill, unless the bill has been referred by the president to the Council of State under Article 90 of this constitution. However, the president has not offered any official explanation yet, raising eyebrows of members from the minority side. Now, the Daily Guide, however, reports that on page 3 that Parliament did a poor job on witchcraft bill, and this is from the majority.
All right.
The majority has denied the minority's claim that President Akufo-Addo breached the constitution by allegedly failing to assent to the amendment to the Criminal and Other Offences Act within the time limit. Seche Mensah Bonsu is rebutting what the minority has said. Quote, it is not on account of the president deliberately refusing to assent to nothing like that. According to him, President Akufo-Addo has not assented to the bill because he does not seek to indict Parliament for doing a poor job on the witchcraft bill after discovering major issues with it which are fundamental to the legislation. Quote, that is from Parliament itself. And then we had some conversation with the Speaker, and we also informed the President that there are fundamental issues with the bill which has been passed by Parliament. There's an engagement between the two. Basically, the President needs to consult someone.
On our website, the Speaker is expressing displeasure at the President over his silence on the bill. And this is what Clemens is reacting to. Speaker Bagwin says the President has failed to communicate to Parliament on whether he assents or disapproves of the bill as constitutionally required. Still in Parliament?
Yes, page 13 of the Ghanaian Times. The minority in Parliament has kicked against government tax waivers to 45 companies, amounting to $449 million, which translates to 5.5 billion cedis.
Right.
According to the minority, the list of the companies penned down for the waivers have been... the list has been presented to Parliament as one district, one factory companies and GIPC strategic investors. A further 118 companies, the minority alleged, were being processed at the Ministries of Trade and Industry, Finance, and the GIPC to be presented to Parliament for exemptions worth 7 billion cedis.
Now, still in Parliament, Minister Katie Hammond has spoken on the import restrictions law, or LI. Trade Minister has explained that the government does not intend to place a total ban on the importation of some strategic products. Instead, he says the government is only seeking to check the level of importation in a bid to boost local production and reduce the country's skyrocketing import bill. Now, the minority in Parliament, we know what the background of this. They've called on the President to immediately withdraw the LI, seeking to restrict the importation of 22 items. Speaking on PM Express, Katie Hammond addressed the fears of stakeholders and said there would be inflation and high cost of living if imports are restricted. He said there's no cause for alarm, reiterating that what the government is seeking to do is not to ban the importation of strategic products, but to restrict them cautiously. Meanwhile, the Third World Network is urging the government to proceed cautiously. This is from point of view yesterday. 6 business associations have asked the Parliament to withdraw the bill. Policy analyst at the Third World Network, Sylvester Bagoro, questioned the measures put in place by government in dealing with the supplier constraints in the value chain, and he also makes comments about WTO rules and what they mean for this new law. Now, I have another story that will interest you. Food prices drop, but consumers are still overpaying due to middlemen. This is the Agric Minister. We heard him in the news saying that a bag of rice, for example, had reduced from 300 and something to 148, but that Well, he didn't say. Let me read the story for you. Minister for Food and Agriculture says the food prices in Ghana have drastically reduced within the last few months. He attributes the reduction to prudent measures implemented by the government, which he says is yielding positive results. Speaking to journalists in Accra during the Accra Agri Fair at the premise of the ministry, he said that the price of food have decreased, but consumers still pay high in some instances because of the exercise of profiteering middlemen. We have been able to bring the price of maize down by 50%. And it is not just maize. With regard to a lot of cereals, the prices are dropping. Now, here's a quote. Maize that used to sell at the same time last year at 300 cedis for 50 kg bag is now 148. This can easily be checked. The maximum you get is 150, which means there is a 50% drop. But nobody is talking about it because you don't see it translate into the price of a ball of kenke. It means that there's someone in the middle who is pocketing the profit. And then he goes on to say other things. Now, then the website then goes on to give some angle using the fair food price monitor, which has warned about how rising prices for Ghana's consumers are potentially being caused not only by factors such as increased fuel cost and currency depreciation, but also by dominant market actors taking advantage of the crisis to increase price excessively. We'll look at this later on during the show. Let's come back to you.
Talking about food and all of that, the Agric Minister, he's on page 12 of the Ghanaian Times, and he says Ghana will soon have the capacity to produce food on a large scale in the next 5 years. He was speaking at the official opening of the National Farmers Day exhibition dubbed AgriFest. Godfred.
It's the same place he said the thing about the food price.
So that's his long-term plan for the country's agriculture.
I have one Agric story for you on page 10 of the Business Analyst. Most farmers in the Sisala enclave are shifting to sesame and soya bean farming due to the high cost of maize production in recent years. The situation could affect maize production in the Sisala area, which produces over 100,000 metric tons of maize yearly. Mr. Doho Sumaila, commercial farmer in Sisala, is told the GNA that the effect is already imminent now and having a significant toll on maize production.
So maybe the ministers will also take care of this before we celebrate the success of lower prices.
Yeah, so let me explain. Let me give you a few numbers. So explain that the cost of production per acre of maize has given rise to the shift. According to him, the cost of production for an acre of sesame was 1,420 Ghana cedis, with an average yield of 3 bags of 100 kg, which now sells 1,500 Ghana cedis per bag, amounting to 4,500 Ghana cedis when sold. And that leaves a profit for the farmer at 3,080 Ghana cedis per acre. Mr. Doho indicated that for an acre, the cost of production stood at 1,655 Ghana cedis with an average yield of 7 bags of 100 kg. So it looks like they're making some money.
Meanwhile, this is a flooding story. Hundreds of people have been displaced in Dorwenya near Pram Pram in the Greater Accra region following the flooding of their homes caused by a spilling of an irrigation dam in the area. Now, this was on Eyewitness News yesterday. The flooding started around 4 a.m. and it affected several houses. Some people say water got to window level, some say to knee level. And when so there's an irrigation dam in the area.
Yes.
The person in charge of the scheme, there's an irrigation scheme for the Dowena Dam project. Samotete said they are not to blame for the flooding because they are saying that the dam spills excess water by itself, and that recent heavy rains has abated the situation, and that the dam is built in such a way that when the water rises, it spills on its own, and then there is also a stream from Shire Hills which comes after the dam. So that stream joined the water to raise the water level for the area, and you should see the aerial photos.
Yeah, so then that means that people were not supposed to live in that part.
Yeah,
it's not supposed to be residential. Then, if the dam spills excess water by itself,
and then people are down. So you are right. So and then when they spoke to the assemblyman, he's been talking about the extent of devastation. He says in his electoral area, over 200 houses have been affected. The water is up to window level. This is not the first time. You should see the videos. They are very serious indeed. So another ecological challenge facing us. There's a photo of the dam itself. Just look at it. So it just overflows, and then so this place should have been placed for planting of food.
Yes.
But people are building houses there. We can't move all the 200 houses. So what do? We have to find a way. Let's come to the finder.
Page 5. Court quashes OSP's report implicating Colonel Damwa Eduche in La Bianca case.
All right.
Now, the High Court in Accra has quashed adverse findings in the report of the OSP that accused two former GRA commissioners of wrongdoing on August 3, 2022 in the famous La Bianca case. Ken Okojo-Damwa, a former commissioner of GRA Customs Division, and Joseph Eduche, former deputy commissioner of GRA Customs Division, were allegedly accused of using their positions to grant favorable tax treatments to La Bianca Company, a frozen food firm owned by Jacqueline Boasumahine, a Council of State member. The two commissioners last year dragged the OSP to court, contending that the OSP's report had caused damage to their reputation and same had no merit. And the court concluded that the OSP was not a court of competent jurisdiction or a commission of inquiry to make adverse findings. And in a response, the OSP has rejected the decision of the court in its entirety. In arriving at the findings of the matter, the OSP did not constitute itself into a court or a commission of inquiry, and it said the findings were based on investigations carried out by the office and that the OSP is mandated by law to publish detected acts of corruption, and its publication of the investigative report is in accordance with its mandate.
Let's talk about running mate issues. A couple of stories there.
Let me tell you about how you can soon get a car with your Ghana card.
All right.
On page 3 of the daily guide. We are interested. Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has hinted that Ghanaians will soon buy cars on credit using Ghana card, with Solar Taxi Company agreeing to roll out the initiative. According to him, the country is on pace to establish a credit system anchored by the Ghana card to make life easy for citizens. Quote, the Ghana card will also become the anchor for a credit system in Ghana, and it would take a couple of card manufacturers in Ghana, notably Solar Taxi, to give cars on credit to people. All they will need at the point of transaction will be your Ghana card, and they'll give you a car, and then you pay over time.
When the story came up, somebody sent me a screenshot of a headline on Citi Newsroom, November 29, 2017. Ghana card digital address will help reduce interest rates, Bawumia. So this is memory recall of the claims that the Ghana card will do things. Ghana card is a great thing, but let's not overpromise. Now, reject running mate role. MPP group urges Kennedy Pong. This is a story on citinewsroom.com. Some MPP members in Ashanti have gone on the Asin Central Member of Parliament to reject an offer to become the running mate to Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, the party flag bearer in this coming election. The individuals made up of members of the volunteer groups who campaigned for Kenohine Jepong during the primaries, alleged bias in favor of the Vice President, Dr. Bawumia, in that election. The group maintains that Asin Central MP is the best person to lead the country and want him to consider opting as an independent candidate for the 2024 presidential elections. The leadership of the group says it has petitioned candidate Jepong and will also have a series of engagements until concerns contained in the petition are addressed. So that's the story. Now, there's another one.
Hamid is supporting Napo on the front page of the Anchor News, but where Napo has posed nicely, choose Napo as running mate, says Napo is a colossus of the MPP, knows their traditions, and so he should be the choice.
There's a strange little story on Star FM. Government faces over 143 million cedi compensation debt for reconstruction impacts. Now, this is from the Director of Urban Roads, Engineer John James Amo Godfred, who has disclosed that a road construction compensation debt of 143 million cedis as of September 2023, government has to pay this across the country. He cited compensation for impacted structures and facilities for La Beach and Borteman road projects alone amounted to 56 million. He blames local assemblies for negligence in permitting encroachment on right of way. Same thing you said about the dam, suggesting that MMDA should be made to bear the cost of resettling occupants or pay compensation. He also recommends deducting these costs from MMDA's common fund or any other monies due them from the central government. Let's deal with some economic stories.
Well, the Institute of Statistical, Social and Economic Research, ISA, has raised concerns on Ghana's high dependence on imports, including staple foods like grains, meat and poultry to meet local demand. And the Institute says that such activities are posing severe risks of external shocks, and these shocks can destabilize the economy. Now, they are reacting to all the talk in Parliament concerning the LI that seeks to restrict some imports, and those are the thoughts of ISA.
All right.
And, well, finally from me, we have new executive for SWAG, Sports Writers Association of Ghana, Kwabena Yeboah, stays as president.
Oh my God.
Congratulations to him.
How long has he been president?
We need him to be president, don't worry. Other members of the executive include Vice President Evelyn Isiasai. I never knew she had a sports writing background. Charles Osesibe is General Secretary, Ken the other day, and then congratulations to the rest, Tilda, Kolo, Augustine Kwabena, Ohene Brenya, and Franklin Ananijim. So Ohene Bampo Brenya is called Augustine.
Augustine, yeah.
You are the only person who knows these people.
You know, you probably see that.